Voters head to the polls today in primary elections in Michigan, Kansas, Washington, Arizona, and Missouri. And yesterday, former President Trump announced he's endorsing Eric in Missouri's Republican Senate primary. The only issue there is there are two Republican candidates with the same name, Eric, in that race. Former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens and State Attorney General Eric Schmitt both tried to claim the endorsement as their own, only adding to the confusion about the former president and who he's actually backing. Meanwhile, in Arizona, Republicans are deciding who will run against Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, as well as who will run to replace outgoing Republican Governor Doug Ducey. For more on this, I'm joined now by NewsNation political editor Chris Stirewalt. And Chris, my first question to you is, who is Trump endorsing in Missouri? Is it his son, Eric Trump? Is there another Eric out there?
Well, I assume it was intentional. Eric Greitens is a incredibly bad candidate. He's an incredibly bad choice. He had to resign the governorship in Missouri in disgrace, involving a bizarre, personal, gross scandal. And Trump, though, I think likes him, and he is the Trumpiest candidate. So for the hardcore MAGA nationalists in Missouri, Greitens is the guy. But Trump doesn't want to pick him or say that he's picking him because he is the most likely to lose in the general election. So I'm going to guess that this is Trump trying to pick his way through this minefield without offending his core voters.
So King Solomon has chosen to split the baby then. There is no true endorsement. It's just let's go Eric.
I think that's right. Let's go Eric is where they're at.
All right, now moving on to Arizona, the Republican gubernatorial primary. It features a battle between one candidate, Kari Lake, who is endorsed by former President Trump. She's an election denier and a former news anchor. Also, former Vice President Mike Pence has endorsed Karen Taylor Robeson. And there's a lot more going on in Arizona, but let's start there. What do you think of this gubernatorial primary?
Well, Arizona's Doug Ducey should be not only the outgoing governor of Arizona, should be probably running for this Senate seat, if not getting ready for a presidential run. If it weren't for the fact that he stood up to Trump in the wake of the 2020 election, Ducey would be a hot ticket. But that is a reflection of how weird and difficult things have gotten for Republicans in Arizona. Let's look at it this way. In Arizona, this is a seat that Republicans should have no trouble picking up. Mark Kelly, a freshman Democrat in a state that is still Republican, but just as they have struggled with the Georgia Senate seat, Raphael Warnock, Republicans may find themselves in a position where they can't take advantage of the midterm gains if they end up with a kooky candidate, and that certainly may be the case today.
Well, who's going to win that Senate Republican primary? Because that's Mark Brnovich, the Attorney General, and then Blake Masters is the Trump-backed candidate. That's an interesting race, too, to see who's going to take on Mark Kelly.
It's a very weird situation. It's a highly weird situation. I think Brnovich would be my guess about who would win just based on name recognition and experience in the party and all of that stuff. But too close to call. Who could say? And, just as we have in probably the biggest race today is in Kansas, where we've got the abortion constitutional amendment on the ballot in Kansas. In these kind of low turnout primaries, how do you know? How do you guess what's what? So this is going to be interesting to watch tonight, and I can't wait to cover it.
Now, we've saved the best for last year. One of the wildest races out there is the Michigan Republican gubernatorial primary, because you have 5 candidates that were kicked off the ballot because they didn't have enough nominating signatures. One of the candidates pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor charge of rallying people to storm the Capitol. And Trump's endorsement, Tudor Dixon, is a low-budget horror film actor. I'm not making that up. So do any of them have a chance against the Democrat incumbent Gretchen Whitmer?
Well, Whitmer's not super popular, and it's not a good year to be a Democrat. And this is something that we've talked about before that's important for Democrats to be thinking about. They have enjoyed how crazy some of these Republican primaries have been. They have enjoyed putting their money behind weirdos and getting them nominated and doing all of that stuff, thinking it'll be easier to win in the election. I would just say that if the political climate this year is as such, it's possible that somebody like Whitmer could certainly go down even to a fringe candidate, and then we will have fringe governors, and that's not good for anybody, regardless of what party you're in.
No, so that's Chris Stirewalt. He used the word weird or weirdo multiple times there. It is weird. It is wild. The only thing that's unfortunate here is these elections have major consequences. So thank you for breaking that down for us. That's Chris Stirewalt, our political editor. Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.